pivoted my mindset from thinking small to thinking large. And I thought of not in terms of I can't do that, but how can I do that? I would underpin and lay a foundation to the remainder of my entrepreneurial and ownership career with that same mentality, which was not I can't, but how can I?
Welcome, Blue Collar Millionaires. This is part one of a three-part series with Ricardo Torres, Air Force pilot, real estate investor, and owner of multiple businesses. Today, his mindset shift from I can't to how can I, his first deals, and how he bought his first business in a flight suit.
You get one life to live, right? And I wanted to achieve what I thought was financial freedom, not just financial freedom, but freedom of my time to spend with my wife and my daughters.
America's backbone was built on blue-collar business grit, grind, and muscle. This is where you stop working for the business, and the business starts working for you.
Welcome, Blue Collar Millionaires. We're back again, but we have a special guest. We've got Ricardo Torres. This man he's an OG with the Blue Collar Millionaire Facebook group. So excited for you to hear his story. I mean, he has bought, he has sold, he has raised money, he has done the military thing. There's all kind of nuggets inside of the story. So Ricardo, man, me and Kevin are excited to have you today.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, fellas. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about OG. I think I was one of the first members of the Facebook group, one of the first 100 members. So to see it scale to where we're at right now, 262,000 plus members, it's nothing short of phenomenal. So big ups to both of you guys for maintaining authenticity throughout all that. Yeah, man. So a little bit about myself. Let's see. I live in Tampa, Florida. I am an owner of a luxury dry cleaner in Las Vegas. I got a carpet cleaning company as well in Las Vegas. I got 2 apartment complexes that I own in Columbia, South Carolina. And when I'm not doing that, I'm an instructor pilot for the Air Force Reserves. I fly out of Columbus, Mississippi, which is right near your neck of the woods. And so kind of grew up in the military life. My dad was in the Air Force. My brother was in the Air Force, retired, both of them. So I've been in about 11 years now. And I'd say, I kind of commissioned in 2013, my wife and my one daughter at the time. I have 2 daughters now. We have 2 daughters now. We went through the Air Force, was really, really confident and concentrated on becoming, what I thought was a senior leader in the military, somebody who would move the needle for the Department of Defense and fly airplanes and take the adversary out. So it was something that was very, very near and dear to me. And so the manner in which you go about doing that is very important for the military. They're not going to allow anybody to do so. So I was privileged. I was in a good position. My dad always told me, if you're going to go into the military, just go be an officer. So I wanted to go be a linguist and an enlisted member and go speak another language. Spanish is another language I speak. I wanted to go pick up a third. So I told him, I said, all right, I'll go to the military, Dad, and I'll try the officer thing. Did the officer thing, got picked up, competed for a pilot slot, got that. I went to University of South Florida, go Bulls, 2013. And then right after that, I went through pilot training, probably the toughest year of my life. I say that as an entrepreneur now because a lot of the attributes and the success factors that I bring to the entrepreneurial or the ownership world, I derive from really long days, hard work, lots of study, meticulous planning. It's kind of simple. As a pilot, you don't take off without knowing where your destination is going to be or how much fuel you need. As an entrepreneur owner, I think about, I'm not actually involving myself in this unless I know, do I have good players that I'm working with? Is this a deal that stands on its own? And is this something that I can add some value to? And so I try to reverse engineer whatever deal I'm looking at, starting it, as opposed to already having gone through it. So anyways, started the military, did that, traveled all around, flew different aircraft, flew the A-10 Warthog, T-38 Talon, T-6 Texan, EC-130. Had a lot of fun, flew over 1,600 hours, but kind of in 2019, 2020-ish, my business partner and I, Patrick, and Patrick, Kevin, we had this itch to want to do something different. And we had invested our money in ETFs, exchange traded funds, and the S&P 500 for just standard stock purchases. But we wanted to do something else, and the Air Force was at a bit of a lull for he and I, and so we were like, you know what, man, we're talking all these different guys who are doing different things in the industry. Multifamily had a very catchy ring to it at the time. And so my brother had worked with somebody who owned about 120 units in El Paso, Texas. And I had blew him off originally, but when he told me a little bit more about it, and fast forward to Patrick and I having these conversations, I called my brother up. I said, "Can you get this guy on the phone? I want to talk to him a little bit more." So sure enough, man, this guy had a 30-minute phone call with us, very transformative phone call. Essentially, what I did is I pivoted my mindset from thinking small to thinking large, and I thought of not in terms of I can't do that, but how can I do that? And I would underpin and lay a foundation to the remainder of my entrepreneurial and ownership career with that same mentality, which was not I can't, but how can I? So I took a TSP loan out, which is a retirement loan. So I went all in and took 50% of that out. I made a little bit of money on Tesla a couple years before. So Patrick and I bought our first 14-unit apartment complex in the hood in Tucson, Arizona. It was not a good class asset at all. And in fact, there was a lot of naivete with what we did. But the market saved us. 10 months later, we sold it. We doubled our equity on that, and we were thankful to have gotten out, and we had a lot of lessons learned from it. One of them was if you're going to buy something that you think you're going to hold for a long period of time, it should be a higher class asset, class B asset if you can, something a little bit nicer that doesn't have as many, expense issues related to repairs and stuff, as well as the loitering. There's so many things there. But anyways, Reader's Digest on the remainder of this is we bought that apartment complex, sold it, 1031 exchanged it into something nicer. We implemented our lesson learned, 25 unit in Columbia, South Carolina, but we were illiquid again. We didn't have any more cash. I had a lot of equity, but I was like, where's my cash at? I couldn't even go to the store and buy a candy bar with the equity that I had, though we had over 500,000 in it. So I was like, man, COVID hit. We're left in this weird predicament. I started to see the market change just a little bit. Deals couldn't pencil in as much, though we still had a small sliver of time. And so we were able to syndicate an additional 2 apartment complexes. Those did pencil in, and we sold one of them in Columbia, and we still have another one that we're holding. But after that, I was really faced with this reality of, hey, none of these multifamily deals are penciling in. Couple that with COVID happening, Air Force not really knowing what to do with me. They said, stay home for a couple weeks. Actually, just we'll tell you when to come back. I grew my beard out and was excited about it. Picked up a couple different books. And one of them talked about buying businesses, Buy Then Build by Walker Deibel. It's a real good book. And I was driving to work one day, and there was this little laundromat in Tucson right outside of the Air Force Base. And man, I'm telling you, it was the Happy Laundry. This place was always lit up. It was just full of customers all the time. I would go fly a morning sortie at 5 a.m. I'd see the place, 7, 8 cars in the parking lot. I'd come home at night at midnight, 7, 8 cars in the parking lot. And so throughout this whole process as an owner, entrepreneur, and pilot, I thought to myself, closed mouths don't get fed, right? So I was like, I'm just going to go ask this cat if he'll sell this business to me. Why not? I'm a little bit savvy and had to construct a purchase and sale agreement. I've seen some deal structure in terms of seller finance. I've worked with banks, attorneys. So I no kidding, go to the Happy Laundry. I'm in my flight suit, mind you. I go to the back. He had his apartment in the back of the Happy Laundry, a little 2-bedroom apartment. He had owned the Happy Laundry since 1994. Wow. This was 2021. I did this. And I go knock on the door. I ring the doorbell. Nothing's happening. He's got a little ice cream machine outside the place. Probably about 25 dryers, 27 washers is what he had at the time. And I was about to leave, and this little gentleman comes out, kind of right hip issue, right knee issue, had a cane in his hand. He just kind of looked at me like, "What's up?" And I said, "Hey, my name is Ricardo. I love your laundromat. I come by it all the time. Business seems to be good." And he just looks at me and he says, "Yeah, what's up?" And I was like, "Okay, this is a little harder than I thought." And I said, "Well, look, I'm going to shoot you straight. I see that business seems to be really good all the time. I would like to make an offer to buy your business." And he had like a 15-second pause, and he like looks around, and at the time I didn't know what he was contemplating. Later I learned about it, but he looked at me square in the eye and he said, "Yeah, I'll sell it to you." And I said, "I didn't realize that. I wasn't prepared for what to say next." And I said, "Well, all right. Can I get back to you on some stuff?" Or I didn't really know what that transaction process looked like. I didn't know that I needed to ask for financials or talk about a little bit of due diligence later on. So I call my business partner, Patrick, up. We put a little game plan together. I show up the next day. He gives us his P&Ls. We look at them. We assess them. We make him an offer. We're way low. He doesn't budge. Goes quiet for a couple of months. He calls me back. and we're able to pencil the deal in. So I bought my first business, 2021 laundromat, the Happy Laundry, and the adjoining 2 apartments in the back. It was a SBA loan, and so we were able to value the real estate at greater than the business, so we enjoyed a greater amortization because of that. And so it helped us cash flow it. And I didn't realize that. That was one of my first indoctrinations with SBA 504 and 7A loans, and looking at it. I always had this assumption that all business loans are based on a 10-year amortization. They don't have to be. If you have real estate associated that has a greater value that the bank can take if for some reason crap hit the fan, then they're going to allow you to enjoy a greater amortization, which should increase your cash flow a little bit. There's some tax strategies associated with paying yourself rent there as well. And I didn't know it at the time. So we buy the Happy Laundry. Worst year of my life as a business owner. And this is tough because, everybody always talks about this whole mantra of like, hey, it's always peaches and cream. You're up in your ivory tower. Everybody's making money, right? You see everybody on Facebook and stuff. I went quiet on Facebook.
Yeah.
I went, you didn't hear from Ricardo for the next year. Why? Because I was counting coins. We got robbed. My mom was working for me. I was making some emotional decisions as a business owner that I shouldn't have been because my mom worked for me.
Yeah.
I'll pay her whatever she wanted to get paid, right? And she was working too much. My dad was upset at me. There was an assortment of things that I did wrong. And I thought, man, what am I doing? I was like, we got saved in our first multifamily deal because of the market. I thought I'm smarter than this. The Air Force has me at a lull. I'm working at being a better business owner, and the Happy Laundry is not doing the best things that I would like for it to do right now. It was just too much bandwidth. It was taking up a lot of my time and effort. The Happy Laundry was doing probably about 20 to 22,000 in revenue per month. So we were about 240 to around 250 a year in revenue. But you have to remember, I had the back apartment I needed to pay for as well. And so that was cutting into a couple of things. I had an idea that I would put a tenant in that didn't quite work as quickly as I would have liked. And then we had a lot of issues just with maintenance. And so our expenses went up generally. So almost a year passed. And, laundromats are in the textile industry. So when we think textiles, we think there's an assortment of different things, but in that is our laundromats, dry cleaners as well. And one thing that I like to try to pride myself on is building lasting relationships where if for some reason if I add value to somebody, I'm not expecting anything in return. If something hits later on down the line, awesome. I'm not expecting it, but if it does, it's kind of a nice surprise. Well, we learned about a couple of different brokers in the industry at the time doing laundromats and dry cleaners. And we were perusing bizbuysell.com, which it gets a bad reputation. Sometimes good businesses will hit BizBuySell. They're mostly rummaged through, and I would say, generally speaking, you're buying yourself a job with a lot of them, pool route, little stuff like that, e-commerce. But in this one in particular, there was a business that came up on the market out of Las Vegas, Tiffany Couture Cleaners. And this was a luxury dry cleaner that had been around since 1970. And it was... dry cleaners, people think of them, they don't quite know what happens at dry cleaners, right? You take your stuff in, you don't even see the equipment. Sometimes you drop it off, pick it up 5 days, it looks great. You don't ask questions, you just pay, right? And so we learned a little bit more about the dry cleaning industry as we were made privy to this business deal that was being advertised. Long story short, the Del Rossi family owned this since the 70s. It had been in the same family the entire time. Blood, sweat, and tears poured into the business. Automation and systems, not as robust as they needed to be. However, their level of quality and consistency was perhaps bar none, and still is one of the best dry cleaners in the U.S. I would say, we're probably top 7 in the entire United States, with only a couple above us at a New York City or Miami, or some of them, Madame Paulette. There's a couple out of New York City that are absolutely phenomenal. So it's something that we pride ourselves on. But anyways, we're privy to the deal, analyzed it, underwrote it, made a fair offer on it. And the owner still didn't budge. They wanted to see us in person, and they wanted to meet us. So I went out there. I went out there with my wife. I went out there with Patrick, my business partner. We introduced ourselves to the owners, and we spent a day with them. And we were in disguise as affiliates of America's Best Cleaners. They didn't want to show the employees who we really were. And I get it now as a business owner. You don't want to show your cards. We learned a little bit more about them. They learned a little bit about us. We went into contract on that deal in October of 22. We bought it in February of 23. That was an SBA loan as well. And so, the experience has been mostly in the textile industry for me. Recently, I had this premonition that, we should be doing something else with our clients because we have such a strong reputation. When you think about dry cleaning, one of the tenets to the success of our business is in Las Vegas, if you're an employer and you require that your employee wear your uniform, you're actually responsible for laundering that uniform as well. Not a lot of people know that. So this is where it pays for you to be a reader, somebody who understands the industry. It's like knowing your numbers. You should know the market and the company that you're either looking to buy or the industry that you're getting into. So I thought, okay, awesome. So what? Mom and pop shops, they got washer and dryers all the time, and they're laundering their employees' uniforms. Well, Gucci doesn't do that. Chanel and Prada and Louvet and Balmain and Bulgari don't do that, and those are our clients. And so what makes us so special is that, and you see this, you hear about it in books, you talk about it in conversations, how to avoid bad aspects of a business, single points of failure. You have one client that takes up 80% of your revenue, right? Mm-hmm. Those are things you want to stay away from. You could have a black swan event or an event where crap hits the fan and you're like, well, there goes 80% of my revenue. I still have debt to pay, maybe, unless you paid it all off. We didn't have that. We had a well-diversified portfolio of our business. We had residential. We have shows and stores. So we do shows like Ka, Cirque du Soleil, Mystere, Magic Mike, Absinthe. I always joke with my buddies. I'm like, hey, if you want to go into Las Vegas, I got the Magic Mike tickets for you. They're like, screw you. So the ladies will take Magic Mike. I'll give the guys Absinthe or something else, But we've got the retail stores, so the shows, and we've got residential clients. And we're this is a military term, centrally planned, decentrally executed business. And I think it's important to know where you can reduce expenses. For our business in particular, we have all of the magic that takes place at the plant. Well, all of our business 85% of our business is done through pickup and delivery. So we have 5 vehicles on the road that go all throughout Las Vegas Valley. We don't say no to anybody because it's built into our price model. Mm-hmm. And we pride ourselves on offering to the luxury level of clientele. And when you have that, you have something called price elasticity. And so for price elasticity for us, where my average price per piece could be $12 or $13, a regular mom and pop's dry cleaner, you see them sometimes touting like $1 pants or something, or like same day turnaround. We don't do any of that. Your pants you're probably going to pay $15, $15 to $20 for your pants. And if you have a nice Chanel dress, you may pay $75 for that. I showed you a wedding gown earlier. Mm-hmm. It's $1,300 to clean that. When your clients are spending $25,000 on a wedding dress, Oscar de la Renta, or $5,000 on a Gucci shirt, you need to charge them commensurate with that. And I think it's really, really important to recognize that you're not going to skimp on that price, because if you do, that echelon of clientele, and many of our clients, and I won't name any of their names, the rich and famous of Las Vegas, are willing and want to pay that price because they know that with paying that price, they expect a value to come from it. And I think a lot of businesses miss the mark with that by going for the lowest price. Alex Hormozy talks about this a lot, a race to the bottom. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what it ends with? You staying at the bottom. It's harder to bounce back from the bottom than it is to stay here and to hold your ground. So long story short, cultivated what I thought was a career that I wanted to pursue in the military as an instructor pilot, did well with that, but pivoted in my career because you get one life to live, right? And I wanted to achieve what I thought was financial freedom. Not just financial freedom, but freedom of my time to spend with my wife and my daughters. I got a daughter in Rollins College in Winter Park right now, and a 11-year-old at the house with us in Tampa, Florida. And now I get to wake up, have breakfast with the kids. There's a negative connotation with absentee ownership sometimes because of the term absentee, but I don't think that's the case. We've cultivated a business and we've repositioned aspects of it that have allowed for us to come in with a sound organizational structure, with leadership and clear expectations and core values of the business that allow for me to pull the strings and work on the business, not in the business. And so our latest endeavor is we bought a carpet cleaning company to cross-pollinate our current clients with Tiffany in order to offer them luxury rug cleaning, oriental rug cleaning, whatever that may look like. And so very excited about what the future looks like. But it's cool because, I got my start learning about business with Blue Collar Millionaire several years ago. And it just started with just regular questions that regular Joes were asking. Hey, how do I actually analyze my cash flow over the next month? And people were vulnerable. And when you see vulnerability on posts like that, you're able to latch on to that, and you'll see people say following. Well, I was that dude, enter. I want to see what these people say because I got that same problem. And I had to drum up the courage to post more on Blue Collar Millionaire because I struggled with that for a while. I was like, I don't want to show them my problems. Who cares about that, man? Show them. No one cares. They got them as well. And man, as soon as I did that, a lot opened up for me. I found myself asking more questions, getting more answers. And some of them went quiet, right? Some, like, not everybody's in your industry doing the same thing that you're doing. But a lot of them gave me good value. And I was like, I never thought about that. One in particular, I asked about an earn-out structure. How do I structure that? Who here has done it? I got like 7 members who were like DM'd me. And I was like, this is phenomenal. This is a built-in consulting service that you can't get elsewhere. So anyways, here I am, proud to be here, part of Boardroom Elite. We have an awesome event this weekend in ATL, 7th through the 8th of November. So excited about the future, man.
It reminds me of how I got into my cleaning, now warped in the restoration business, was getting on forums and searching the question and then reading all the comments underneath it. And I mean, it was, I've heard people talk about YouTube University. This was Facebook University for me.
100%.
And anybody hungry for knowledge, it's out there to find. And so there's no excuse of why you should be stuck.
That's correct.
There's too much free out there. There's so much free that it almost is a handicap because you can overindulge in information and then just sit stationary.
Yep.
I think that's what you just said. I'll tell you what you did differently I think works is when you're curious and you ask, okay, it's not that I can't do that. How do I do that?
Yes.
When you go seek information, when you get in groups, you kind of control the flow of information. It's what you need. What I think people do wrong is there's so much info, they're doom scrolling.
Yes.
And information hits them and they take it all in and they're all over the place. Hormozy said this guy said this. Now now I'm going to save on taxes because this guy said I can buy a jet that I can't invite. They get focused on the wrong things. I see it all the time where it's better saying, okay, here's my situation. I'm curious about this. Be curious. You got curious about real estate. Some people won't do that phone call. Hey, to your brother, can you get me on the phone with him? They don't want to ask anything. If you don't do that phone call, then you don't really go to the next step. And real estate, then that the mistakes you made there, and then you did okay because of the market, you learn, and then you realize, hey, I don't have cash, so I need that. Like you learn all these things by being curious and keep asking questions. But I appreciate that what you were saying about we don't allow that negative stuff. There's negative people in our group.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
100%.
it's a culture that when you go in comments and there's 27 and they're all positive, it's hard even for the losers to put negative stuff. But if there's 17 and everybody's ripping on it, it's like a gang. They go. But when we see one thing, we just take them out. I mean, we don't give you a warning. You just get removed.
That's true.
So somebody might be listening. It's like, why am I not in this? Yeah, you probably said something stupid to somebody.
Yeah.
Because I was that guy young when I had questions, but I was this young kid and I didn't want to ask. Maybe you have one bad thing where a guy's kind of a jerk or blows you off. That's why when people ask us in our comments, I can't answer everything to everybody, but I would never be judgmental.
100%.
What's your problem? How can I help you? There are no dumb questions. It's just the dumb thing is to do nothing.
That's correct.
Not ask.
Yeah.
And then you just let reels hit you, and then that's where you get your info. It's all over the place. Half of it's bullshit anyway.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think someone talked to me the other day about this, and we were trying to define what success meant, and it's such a moving target. It's all over the place. But I tried to sum it up, and I said, look, we all have great ideas that hit us. Blue Collar Millionaire members are just the same. There's a lot of great ideas that exist. If you can take that great idea and take action on it, the sooner you can take action on it, the sooner you can achieve success. And so to your point, Kevin, there's a lot of members out there that are just watching and they have great ideas. The great idea needs to be met with action in order to find success. If not, you just have a great idea.
You'll find a reason to talk yourself out of it.
You'll get into analysis paralysis. And the smartest people on our group are likely the ones who are the quietest, who aren't taking that action. And that action starts with just a post and then a follow-up DM I'll give you an example. I just moved from San Antonio to Tampa. I felt like I didn't have a tribe in Tampa. And so I told my wife this, and she's like, hey, you're doing work out of Vegas. You're always in Mississippi flying. Sometimes you go back to Arizona. I said, but I want to plant roots in Tampa. And she said, how do you do that? I said, the same way as I've done everything else. You take action. So I got onto I made some mistakes on the Blue Collar Millionaire group. I created an event and it almost looked like BCM sponsored it, but it wasn't meant to be that way. It didn't get posted. And I said, you know what? I tried to find Facebook ways on how I could invite 80 people who aren't my friends to a group. That's harder to do actually than you think, because it never went through. But I set up a lunch. 7 Blue Collar Millionaire members showed up. We had a phenomenal conversation. We talked, how do you scale your business? What fractional CFO services look like? These are hungry business owners who are trying to also find their own tribe, who perhaps didn't take that action. But I said, you know what? I'm not going to stop at a Facebook challenging me. And so we went out, we had some wings. And after that, there were so many people who hit me up and said, hey, I want to get in on this next one, man. I saw that you did that. I've been trying to do the same exact thing. So we're excited about the next one. I'm hoping that we'll have 15 to 25 members on it, and we'll actually do more than eat wings. We're going to break some stuff down on white paper on a dry erase board and see how we can connect the dots with what success and scale looks like for you and your business.
I sit there and I think about that statement of find your tribe. And we went to a Halloween thing with our kids in the neighborhood with some other kids that's in the same school. And I remember standing there in the kitchen and very great, gracious host. And it just didn't fit in, I guess is the best way to say it. And that's an aggressive way to put it based off of what was going on. But I was like, I just don't fit in. Like, where do I jump in on a conversation? And then someone sat there and asked me that had knew me when I first started my business, and we had not seen each other for a while. And they were actually one of my first clients, some physicians. And immediately I was just like on fire, and we were just talking about business and how it's grown
Going
and
back and forth.
and I was lit, and I walked away from that and I thought to myself, I'm not awkward or weird. I just need the right content to sit there and talk about, because I'm not multi-dimensional when it comes to, I can't tell you about all these sports and all this other stuff because all of my focus stays on this entrepreneurial portion of living life. And that's finding your tribe. And when you connect, you light up like a Christmas tree, man.
100%.
You'll see that tonight. I know you're meeting some of the people for the first time. Chris and I know everybody in Elite, of course. Some of them we're meeting in person. But we've been to so many of these events. It just clicks like, there's no nonsense small talk. You just get into it. We all know the agenda, what we're talking about tonight. It's your business. It's their business. It's making money, it's growing. It's like we're all in the same thing. Because I felt like that for a lot of years, where we were talking earlier about, like, if you go out with your girlfriend and your wife, whenever you're hanging out with their husband's friends, I just want to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't care I don't know what we're talking about. Fantasy football. Go ahead, do your thing, and they can have time, but I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about other things.
100%.
I'm at home. That's why all these events, they end at 8:30, 9 o'clock. And it's like 11:14 when I'm getting in my car every time.
Yeah, that's the best.
It's the opposite on the other things.
Right.
I'm 20 minutes in, like, hey, we get out of here.
Yeah.
Because I really want to just go back and get on my laptop.
Yeah.
And do my own stuff, man.